Hi, welcome to Quietly Thinking Out Loud. Today, I'd like to talk about a question. I think most of us think about this question. The question that follows many of us through different stages of life. Where would I fit in? The question came to me recently after a very scientific experiment involving birds. Some of you may remember an episode, Birds Organization. For some reasons, I still don't fully understand. The birds didn't seem particularly popular on one platform. So I felt a little sorry for them and decided to upload them somewhere else. To my surprise, people seem to like them on that platform. The birds hasn't changed, the story hadn't changed, the ecosystem had changed, and that made me wonder. How often do we assume something isn't good enough when perhaps it simply hasn't found the right environment? Many years ago, I worked as part of a global resourcing team. I participate in assessment centers across this region and a few times in the UK. My role was a assessors. So as assessors, we had to be very careful because the moment we design an assessment, we are also deciding what success looks like. And for example, if we made English language skills too important, we would naturally see more people from English-speaking countries rising to the top. Not necessarily because they had more potential or they were better leaders, but because we were measuring something that favored a particular group. And actually luckily that wasn't the case. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been promoted into a regional role myself. English is not my first language, so anyway, if language had become the primary measure, many talented people from China, Thailand, Japan, and other non-English speaking countries might have been overlooked. Not because they lack capability, simply because we were looking through a very narrow lens. Sometimes the outcome depends on what we choose to measure, and perhaps life is a little like that too. Many people spend years trying to understand themselves. They may try different careers, different hobbies, different paths. Some use personality assessment, some use strengths profiles, some use coaching, some simply learn through experience. As in my profession, I use many of these tools throughout my career. I think they can be very useful, but I have always been careful about one thing. The purpose of the tool is to help us understand the person. The purpose is not to become the person. Sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, he's this type," or "she's that type," as like a few letters can fully describe a human being. I always find that a little uncomfortable. Human beings are more complicated than that. We grow, we change, we adapt, we surprise ourselves sometimes. The tool should help curiosity, not to replace it. The interesting thing is that many of us spend years trying to fit into labels, trying to fit into expectations, trying to fit into roles. Sometimes we ask, what should I become? But perhaps another question is, where would I fit in? I think about this often in organizations. A great salesperson does not guarantee that he or she would become a great sales manager. The skills are different. The environment is different. The expectations are different too. One role may suit somebody perfectly, another may not. It doesn't mean the person has changed. It means the ecosystem has changed. And the same thing happens in schools, in communities, in families, and sometimes in relationships. As we grow older, we begin asking different questions. Am I comfortable with this? Are our values aligned? How much change are we asking for? Do I need to change? Does the other person need to change? And perhaps the most important questions of all, would that change be sustainable? Because if there's one thing life has taught me, it's the change is not easy. Even when we want to change ourselves, never mind changing someone else. And perhaps there is one more thing. If we do decide to do something about a situation, learn from it, and move forward, I hope that the next person doesn't have to pay for someone else's mistakes. Not all people are cruel. Not all people are dishonest. Not all people intend to deceive or hurt others. Sometimes life teaches us difficult lessons. Sometimes people disappoint us. Sometimes we discover that our trust was misplaced. But I hope those experiences do not become the lens through which we see everyone who comes afterward. Because every person is different. Every relationship is different. Every story is different. I think one of life's challenges is learning from the past without allowing the past to write the future, to become wiser without becoming cynical, more careful without becoming fearful, more discerning without closing our hearts completely. That may not always be easy, but I think it matters. After all, we are asking where we fit in. Perhaps someone else is asking the same question too. And they deserve to be seen for who they are, not for what somebody else did. I don't know if we ever get things perfectly right, but perhaps trying is part of the journey. I think many difficulties in life come from asking people to become someone they are not, or asking ourselves to become someone we are not. Yes, we all grow, we all adapt, we all learn. But there is a difference between growth and pretending. There is a difference between learning and losing ourselves. Sometimes the challenge is not becoming someone else. Sometimes the challenge is finding the right environment, the right role, the right community, the right people, the place where our strength can contribute naturally. This reminds me of the birds again. We don't expect pigeons to sing like the Oriental magpie robin. The pigeons has its own strength. The magpie robin has its strength. Even the gecko, who remains mostly hidden and continue his work, I assign them into a sustainability department. They has its own strengths too. A healthy ecosystem doesn't ask every creature to be the same. It benefits from different contributions. And perhaps people are not so different. And the older I get, the less interested I'm asking who is better, and more interested in asking what strength does this person bring? What environment helps them thrive? What roles allows them to contribute? And perhaps most importantly, where would they fit in? And looking back, maybe that question is not only about careers or relationships or personality assessment. Maybe it is one of life ongoing questions. Where would I fit in? Not where can I force myself to fit, not where can I pretend to fit, but where can I contribute, grow, belong, and remain true to who I am. I don't know if any of us ever answer that question completely, and perhaps we keep discovering new answers throughout our lives, a new role, a new community, a new chapter, a new versions of ourselves. And perhaps that is perfectly all right. And if you are in that space, I'm genuinely happy for you. Because I also understand that it is rarely a simple path. Most people don't wake up one morning and suddenly know exactly who they are, where they belong, or what they should do next. For many of us, it takes years, different experiences, different communities, a few wrong turns, a few surprises, sometimes a little courage, sometimes a little patience, and often a great deal of learning along the way. That's why I have a great respect for people who can simply say, I'm happy. Because I know that behind those two words, there is often a story, a journey, and perhaps many questions that had to be answered along the way. And perhaps the answer to where would I fit in is not something we discover once and keep forever. Perhaps it changes as we grow, as life changes, as we change, and perhaps that is perfectly all right. Well, thank you for spending time with me today. It's a bit longer than the other episodes. I hope you have a great day. And until next time, take care.